In this video, I am going to be taking you through the speaker event multiplication method that you can use to duplicate and multiply every single speaking opportunity that you get. What's going on, y'all? My name is Joe Johnston, and over the past 3 years over at Speaker Scale, we have worked with over 150 speakers to help them build predictable speaking revenue engines through proven systems and processes. And in today's video, I am going to be taking you through part of the fulfillment engine that we work with our clients inside of the Scalable Speaker here at Speaker Scale, and specifically the speaker event multiplication method that you can use to duplicate every single speaking opportunity. Now, if you stick around to the end, I will be giving you access to our fulfillment number sheet that you can basically layer on top of this so that you can start to put data and see which part of this process and this engine, this fulfillment engine and system is working for you, specifically what needs to be doubled down on, which will further inform your sales, your lead generation efforts, all of that good stuff. So long story short, the speaker event multiplication method that you can use to duplicate every single speaking opportunity. And part of the reason why I'm excited to record this video is because most speakers are leaving a lot of opportunity on the table, a lot of revenue, a lot of impact, a lot of income on the table by not having this piece in place, by not having this framework in place and maximizing and really having a system and process in place to maximize every single speaking opportunity that you get. So we're going to go through this process end to end and kind of explain it piece by piece as we like to do. So the trigger event that really sets off this process is by getting a verbal or email confirmation, right? So this is the verbal or email confirmation, or done on the phone, through email, whatever, saying we would like to move forward with you, John Smith, as a speaker for our event at the agreed upon amount of $15,000 or whatever it is the trigger event that really sets off this process and puts it into motion. Now, this is a fantastic, obviously, thing, right? We're all excited when this happens. This is like the high, other than being on stage. This is the thing we're all going for, is that verbal or email confirmation. And again, that triggers what happens immediately, and this speaker event multiplication method, this fulfillment engine, from gearing up and going to space. So the sales team's job is done at this point, and now we're moving. This is the trigger event that now kicks off this fulfillment process. So immediately after you get that verbal or email confirmation, you are going through, should be going through your point of sale contracting process and email, right? So this is where you should have a very templated process, an email that ideally should be handled by an assistant. And basically what we do is we fill out a form that gets sent to my assistant internally. So I close the deal, head sales agent in my company, I close the deal, I fill out a form, it gets sent to my executive assistant, and then she is taking that information, putting the contract together, getting the speaker's marketing materials, and putting it in a templated email within 24 to 48 hours as soon as possible over to the client. So she's getting the clients, she's getting that over to the client. It's a very smooth process. I let the client know when they give the email confirmation, here's what happens next. You'll be receiving an email from my colleague Rachel, and that process starts, right? So that's the first part of the process, making sure that's really smooth. And ideally, again, this should be outsourced to an executive assistant, like easy peasy. Um, Next is pre-event marketing promo. So one thing I didn't put in here too is you should be obviously getting the 50% deposit, right? So before we even do any of the pre-event marketing promo or anything like that, we're requiring that 50% deposit is due as soon as possible following the signing of that contract to lock in the date, lock in the engagement, and then you're starting the pre-event marketing promo, right? So you send out, you get the 50% deposit in, and then you're starting the pre-event marketing promo. Now, remember too, guys, like part of this process, the part of this engine and this event multiplication method is to differentiate yourself from all the other speakers out there and all the other speakers that the meeting and event planners have worked with. And so pre-event marketing promo, you should have a templated email with like basic stuff, your intro, your bio, your headshots that the client can use to go out and take this, start marketing you. The other thing that we like to do and one of our speakers like to do is creating a customized pre-event marketing promo type video that can be sent to the meeting planner and to the client and saying, hey, like use this, you can use this, it's promoting my event, it's a little more customized. So that is happening again after the 50% deposit is gotten and within 30 days prior to the event. The next thing that's happening is the pre-event logistics and content call. So we just had one of these. This is a 60-minute, 45 to 60-minute call where you're sitting down with the person that booked you, anyone else on their team, and you're diving really, really deep on logistics and on content. Ideally, you're mapping out your keynote, you're mapping out the flow of events. Maybe you have your executive assistant on that call who's taking notes so that they can create a pre-event brief. But you're getting everything you need from a content and logistics perspective so that you can knock it out of the park for your client for this event. Finally, 7 days before the event, we have the pre-event call and finalizing logistics call. So emails will probably go back and forth here, but you're having your pre-event call 7 days before the event, and you're also again finalizing kind of last minute logistics with the client, making sure everything's good to go, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and you have everything you need to optimize on event day. On the pre-event call, very, very important, on the pre-event call, you're scheduling the post-event call. You're scheduling the post-event call for 7 days post-event, right? So on the pre-event call, make sure that you are scheduling and locking in the post-event call for 7 days post-event, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Next is event day. So you go, you crush it. You should have a system in place to collect leads because we're going to be working those on the back end, but you should have a system, a tool in place, whether it's Talkadot, whether it's your own internal QR code, where they're, providing a freebie and more importantly, collecting leads, people in the audience who have interest and can raise their hands, giving them an opportunity to raise their hands to say, hey, I have another event I'd be interested in chatting with you about. You really need to have that in place on event, whether you use slides or not. Have a slide up there, have a way, QR code, whatever it is, where folks can go and give you some feedback and raise their hands and say, hey, we'd be interested in learning more about bringing you in to speak to our group. Now, 24 to 48 hours post event is where you're going to start the stage side slash spin-off business leads follow-up process. This is critically important. Again, so you have all those leads you've collected. You need to have, ideally an automated, streamlined, delegated process for someone on your team to be working those leads, right? You could have 20, 30 people, if you're speaking to a crowd of, let's say, 1,000 folks, 20, 30, 100 people who raise their hands and say, hey, we want to learn more about engaging you further. Those are very hot leads, depending on kind of the severity, you need someone in there working them and then kind of either setting the call or, further qualifying them, appointment setters, but you need to be working those leads within 24 to 48 hours. We have seen clients literally add 20 to 40K worth of business just by implementing this process and having a very, very smooth process here. Look, we get it. You might be on to the next event. You might be going city to city. You're in a busy time of the year, but someone needs to be working this. It needs to be an automated email sequence. Something needs to be working the stage side slash spinoff business within 24 to 48 hours. 7 days post event is when you're going to have your post event call. And I should actually flip these. Prior to the post event call or after is really the post event follow up email can come into play, which we'll talk about in a minute. So never mind, I shouldn't flip those. 7 days post event or within 7 days of the event, you need to have your post event call. Now, your post event call, what you're doing is it's truly a post event call to get feedback, right? You're getting feedback, you're getting data, you're hearing kind of more concretely from the quantitative and qualitative feedback that you can get from that meeting planner specifically in the group that you worked with. What did the audience feel? How did they feel about the presentation? And you're going through all that stuff on the post-event call. Here is also, if you're a consultant, if you're a trainer, if you have other opportunities to engage, this is when you're going to start to pitch them. So we have clients who will have 50K consulting packages, and before they close the deal, they include that in the proposal, and the client will go with the 10 to 15K keynote to start. Here's where barring everything went well, we could reopen that conversation, right? So you're getting feedback, you're getting data, you're hearing from the client, quality control, what went right, where did I miss the mark? Where can I improve? Making sure that they're happy and satisfied, and then you're bridging the conversation into future work, right? If you are someone who doesn't have a 50K consulting package or training package, whatever that is, what you're doing here is you're going to start asking for referrals, right? So you're going to start streamlining the referral process, internal inside their company or just other groups that they might know, and specifically ask them if they could make email introductions. Now, some of you, if you have a really solid sales process, and I will link the sales process video that we have, the 10x speaker sales process, down below in the comments, but you should be, if you're coming down on fee, let's say your typical fee is 20K and you're coming down to 15K, you should be baking in, written referrals, email referrals, all that good stuff. So all that stuff is when you're going to start cashing in on the post-event call. Post-event follow-up email should, ideally be coming from you or someone from your team, which is basically just following up, wrapping everything up. This can happen before the post-event call, after the post-event call, up to you. This is where you're sending the final invoice, making sure if that's hasn't already been fulfilled within 7 days prior to the event, you're getting the final invoice fulfilled, the final 50%. And then wrapping up, getting any content, anything like that, thank you note, all that good stuff. This is very important as well. 30 days post event and then 90 days post event. Again, you can send this, you can put this kind of automated or schedule this out. They should be getting value driven follow ups, right? So you should be value driven, giving the client, sending the client a PDF, something that they can use to give to their audience that's sort of wrapping up your talk, putting a nice little bow on it, and yeah, getting them to just providing future value, right? As opposed to being that speaker that comes in, talks and then leaves. Make sure that you're providing value, 30 days post event, 90 days post event with a value driven follow up email or asset or video or whatever it is that you can send to them. So, guys, that is high level the speaker event multiplication method to duplicate every speaking opportunity. A lot of this can be outsourced. The stuff that I wouldn't outsource, obviously on event day, you're not going to outsource that. Pre event call and then the post event call, don't be outsourcing that. But pretty much everything else inside of this system can be outsourced. Now, if you want help from us specifically, implementing the 5 other engines that we help all of our scalable speaker clients implement, go ahead and you can apply below speaker-scale.com. You can go to our website. If you want a link to 2 things, one is going to be the 10x speaker sales process video. That will be below. The other thing will be the fulfillment number sheet that you can use, that breaks down how you can use this and really datatize all of this and see, hey, I work in a bunch of different industries, and I find that XYZ industry is the one that I'm getting the most referrals, the most spin-off off of, and just putting data to all of this, quality assurance, all that stuff. That will be down below, and we will see you in the next video.